Hello and welcome to the Global Dialogue. I'm Shireen Bhan and my guest today is the Global CEO of MasterCard, Michael Miebach. Thanks very much for joining us here on CNBC TV 18. What a pleasure to have you in India and on the program, your first visit as CEO of MasterCard. And you picked quite the week as we celebrate 75 years of our independence.
Picking that week was by design, so I'm delighted to be here, delighted to be on the show with you. There were choices when to come, and I couldn't think of a more auspicious week, actually, than to join the celebrations. I did find, though, that it's also a week of vacation. So,
yes,
it was
plenty of vacation.
A little bit of flexibility was required, but a fantastic visit. Got a really good sense of everything that's going on in India.
So let me ask you for a pulse check on India today.
Right.
You've had meetings with your clients, with your customers, with your team, and of course with government officials as well. As you leave India, in comparison to the sense that you had about the economy, about your business here, about MasterCard's plans for India in 2018, which was when you last visited, give me a pulse and a mood check on where things currently stand.
A almost physical sense of optimism. I mean, it's probably helped by the fact that you look back on 75 years and then all the achievements, but my reference point was really the visit 4 years ago in 2018. What I see today, particularly through the lens of our business, when we look at the digital economy and how it's growing in India and the growth rates of UPI and so forth, there is technology put to work at scale in unprecedented ways in India. And as a tech company and as a tech geek, I find that hugely exciting. So I'm going to go back and see there's models emerging in India that we should all think about and see what else we can do and how we evolve our business in partnerships with fintechs and other companies that are using this technology here in India. That was the conversation at the dinner tables last night here in the hotel.
So I just want to take that point forward. From your strategy of buy, build, or sort of partner, where does India fit into that strategy currently, and what is it going to mean in terms of future investments?
So let me just say a few things. We're not a credit card company to start with, so let's just...
I think that transition you've been on for the last couple of years.
Let's just baseline on that. So as a payment technology company, we kind of broadly speaking, what we do, our strategy is be in payments, whatever choice of payments is there. Like India is offering a lot more choice in payments than was there even 5 years ago. So it might have been cards, and now it's UPI, it's account-to-account, it's push payments. You want it, you have it in India. So we want to offer solutions in all those spaces. That's our stated strategy. It's different in different countries, and here in India, certainly there's more choice and bid for that. But then that's also the question. So if you have that rapidly rising digital economy with all these different payment choices for people, how do you keep it safe? How do you keep it simple? That's another part of our strategy, where we say every kind of service that makes this simple, address the cyber risks, is your digital identity compromised, all those kind of things we take care of, and we then partner. And that comes to the partnership point. We say, on payments, there's a lot of partnerships required, for example, on nascent areas of payments, B2B payments. There's a lot of inefficiency in B2B payments, which we bring solutions to the party. Basic P2P payments, here in India, UPIs are an amazing success. We don't really need to partner on that, but the question on cybersecurity and how do you make sure that these payments remain safe as this becomes one of the, if not the largest digital economy in the world, that's a partnership area. Then you go into some of the big questions that India is addressing that many other countries will face, and that's the question of an inclusive digital economy. Hundreds of millions of people. We think there's going to be 100 million people that join the formal digital economy in India in the next couple of years. Who else? How do you do this? And what partnerships are required? We've been on a financial inclusion trip for years. I ran our Africa business. That's why I got really in tune with that topic, and I think there's amazing drive here on that. There's technology developed here, but we also have experience that we can bring to the party. So all sorts of partnerships across the board. And in my conversation with our employees here, look at us, where's it going? Where's the puck going? What else can we bring to India's journey to make that digital India vision a reality.
So where is the puck going? You know, and especially in the context of financial inclusion, voice commerce, for instance. I know that this is something that you talk about and this is something that you believe in as well. What kind of innovations can we expect out of India that can possibly be exportable?
I think in the end where it's going to go, pay every which way you want, whenever you want, always on the basis of it's safe and secure. So I think that's the headline. And you know, that turns out in many different ways. It's going to be paying in the metaverse. It's going to be paying through voice. It's going to be paying offline in areas of the country where you have no GSM coverage or it's not as good as it needs to be. So every bit of technology that's there today is going to give us a huge boost because all that is at disposal in India. So I wouldn't think there's one particular technology. My general answer on when I think about the future of payments and the future of technology is convergence of a lot of fundamental underlying technologies, AI, 5G or 6G, cloud, edge computing, all of that will make sure that you can do whatever you want whenever you want it in terms of payments at all times. This is converging, gives you all sorts of data. I think the question of trust and security is really the most important in a digital economy. Imagine that small business that is reopening the doors after COVID, and then now they have a digital business because they felt that during COVID that was a thing, and now they're going to operate in a different way than they had before, but they have not learned how to keep their business safe. That trust issue, if something goes wrong, that's going to be a problem, not only for that one business, because people talk, and then the whole small and micro businesses, I think are not going to take all the potential from the digital economy. So trust and security is super important. That's what we stand for, what we bring. And it was a good part of the conversations with government as well here.
You know, just sort of looking not just at India, but at the regulatory environment around the world, and specifically about the regulatory environment here in India, it's been a challenging year and a half or so. You know, the RBI didn't allow you to onboard customers because of the data storage rules, which changed. You now have the ability to do that again. But what impact did that have on your business? And, you know, how do you potentially de-risk yourself from matters like this going forward?
Right. Shireen, I'd like to take your cue and look at the world, and then we come to India on this. So basically what we're seeing in the digital economy is, at the intersection of financial services and digital economy, is regulators that want to ensure sanctity of the system, resilience of the system, effectiveness of monetary policy, and so forth. And then you have fintechs, you have new technology coming in. And how do you bring these two worlds together? Because you want innovation. At the same time, you want stability and you want security. And that's what a lot of the conversation, the school of regulators, there's increasing connectivity. The BIS is bringing the central banks together. They're all talking to each other. And we're an active part of that dialogue where we say we're kind of somewhere in the middle. We are the largest fintech around, but also we're not at the bleeding edge, we're at the leading edge. And I think we can bring a perspective in the middle. What we've seen here in India is a lot of that new technology being deployed, and I think the market oftentimes is ahead of the regulator, as in saying, we'll try this out. So regulatory clarity on emerging topics around the world, we see it in crypto, for example, and blockchain is not quite there yet. So that active dialogue to bring that there. Here what we had is we had challenging 10 months in India for sure, but we resolved the matter with the RBI, cooperative, open dialogue, and we think we are now exactly where the country needs to go, and now we're engaging the market again. And what was really rewarding is the keenness of the market participants and customers to reach out again and say, okay, so what can we do together? So that's behind us. We look forward, and we're excited about where this is going to go here in India in terms of this digital economy.
So, you know, I am going to try and elicit a number from you in terms of what it could mean in terms of fresh investments for India, given the fact that you're so confident about the growth story here. So potentially, what could we see?
Right. So, you know, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about how important India is for MasterCard. So it's a big business, but everything that we just covered on what is being built in terms of a digital economy here, this has model character. So I look at this as like, in a fishbowl, there's like this big fish that's circling, and that is India. And then a lot of people are going to look into this fishbowl and say, that's a model. That's interesting. We might be seeing more, global stack kind of ideas elsewhere. So from that perspective, it's important. We have been investing, and we've been on the record here in India to say, $2 billion that we will be investing in the country, and we're just executing against that in R&D, in people, in solutions, in technology. This is the reason I have to cover 4 cities in 3 days, is because I'm going to see all of that and make sure that we are on track and understand where things are going. So from an investment and resource allocation perspective, we are just reflecting the importance of India that we believe is being drawn up in terms of this digital future.
Mm-hmm. The talk of recession is gaining momentum across different economies at this point in time, whether we talk about the US or UK or the slowdown in China. And typically that hasn't impacted your business. Previous downturns haven't necessarily impacted your business. But as you look at the risks that are playing out for various economies today, how do you ring fence yourself?
So I resisted using the R word in our last conference call with the analysts and investors. And frankly, that's for a reason. If we think back about the financial crisis, 2008, 2009, if you look at the state of the world then, vis-a-vis the state of the world, we don't have an asset bubble. What we have, on the other hand, is we have high, strong employment. I mean, unemployment numbers have gone down since pre-crisis, so we are in good shape. We have had many stimulus programs here in India, the US, and Europe that went to individual consumers. The consumer balance sheet is much stronger than it was back then. So if you then look at that underlying thing, yes, there is pressure on energy prices, there's pressure on air tickets, we just talked about that. So there's some inflationary pressures, but you also have more decisive actions from central bankers around the world who are stepping in to halt the inflation or prevent a further increase. So gives and takes, puts and takes around inflation. And I've not yet said the R word, and I will not. So we'll see.
So you don't believe we're headed? You don't believe we're headed into a recession?
In the short term, we are seeing that inflationary pressure will prevail, but the actions that central banks are taking, we believe, will take hold. So then it's important to think, if we make the bridge to our business, not everything that is driving inflation is reflected in our business, because where digital payments generally happen, the types of digital payments that we do is oftentimes not in rent, for example. It's oftentimes not in types of energy prices when it comes to utility payments for natural gas or things like that. So our basket vis-a-vis the overall CPE is a different kind of basket. And hence there's why there's some cushioning happening as well. Fundamentally, as price levels increase, there's a short-term benefit in volumes, but that is something that is generally passing, because overall, if inflation prevails for a longer time, it's not good for anybody. So we believe that the government actions that are being taken, particularly by the central banks, are showing effect. We see it in the United States. You see it in India. Actually, your inflation rates come down.